So we made it. Our first month, we made it. Oh my gosh, this is the last talk of this month's theme, Transform Your Life with Mindfulness. It was a great month. Did you get more mindful? My God, I did. Anyway, what a great Sunday to finish up a month of mindfulness, but Easter, which is the ultimate transformation, right? The ultimate story of transformation. We started the month off with Mind the Mind. So we talked about awakening to those thoughts, just kind of getting more conscious of what are those thoughts that are running around inside of me. And then the next week we went to transforming thought. So now that we've awakened to them, what do we do with them, right? We want to transform them with, exchange them for ones that really, really work better for us. Once we've become aware, we want to use the tools that we learn to then transform those thoughts. And then last week at Palm Sunday, the talk time for change. Now is the time to do it. It's not past, it's not future, but right now. The eternal now is the time to do the work, to set the intentions so that the future outpictures as something different. When we look at our life here and now, what we're looking at is our report card on our previous thinking. That's all it is. Our present life is the report card of our previous thinking. What's happening now is the result of all of the thoughts that you had in the past. So if we're going to change our future, if we're looking at changing what we desire, we have to set those intentions now. We have to set powerful intentions now. We have to pray affirmatively now. We have to meditate and we have to vision now so that what appears in our future is the result of this thinking today. So our future will be the report card of this thinking that we're doing in the present. And at this time of year, the Easter story really is about that, isn't it? It's about change, dramatic change, but it's about change. And so let's look at the story for a second. Let's look at the Easter story, the traditional Easter story, right? Jesus rides into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. He's been annoying the religious leaders all week long. He's been standing in his truth and speaking truth to power and absolutely, getting under people's skin. He's preaching love and forgiveness, love and forgiveness, love and forgiveness all the time, which he considered way more important than any of the man-made laws, right? Any of the rules and the regulations and the dogma that was being spoken to. He was healing the sick and raising the dead, if you believe those stories. I think that would have been a bigger draw than sacrificing pigeons in the temple, right? I mean, that would have been absolutely something I'd want to see. He overturned tables. He threw out the money changers, not because it was illegal what they were doing, but it was mistaking the ritual for the communion with spirit. The whole finger pointing to the moon and rather than the moon, he was just, it's not about the ritual. It's not about the procedure. It's about the direct revelation of spirit in our lives as our lives. He called the priestly class, I love this, he called the priestly class the son of vipers. Okay. He was not winning friends, it was one of those deals. Okay, so then he has a meal with his supporters. He addresses his own doubt and his own fear in the garden, right? And then he overcomes that. He is betrayed by a kiss, and who hasn't been there? Abandoned by his friends, he's turned over to the authorities. He is beaten. He is sentenced to die. He is crucified, declared dead, buried in a tomb. That's that, right? The Roman soldiers are going, there you go. We'll never hear from that troublemaker again. The priests laugh. And God, of course, always has the last laugh. And on Sunday morning, Jesus Christ is alive and well. Christianity flourishes throughout the region and then throughout the world. The temple is destroyed. The Roman Empire falls. And Dante describes it all as the Divine Comedy. Quite the story. It's very dramatic. And what we know is when we take the closer look at any of these sacred scriptural stories, in any sacred book, the story is about us. The story is about humanity. It's about the evolution of a people. And that's really what is important and what is beneficial for us on days like this. We take the closer look and we say, oh, this is the hero's journey. This is the story of us. You know, when we awaken to our thoughts and we begin to transform, we practice a spiritual path, we set intentions for our lives, we begin to change our lives. We are living in that eternal story. We are living that archetypal story of the hero's journey. In Romans 12:2, it said, do not conform any longer to the pattern of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that's what we're doing, because we are not here to live the same old, same old. We're not here for that status quo. We are here to continue to evolve and continue to grow and continue to outpicture the fuller life that Spirit has intended for us. That authentic, that unique, that individualized expression of Spirit living life through you as you in the world. The big part of the Easter story is the dying to the old. And that's what we do every single time we have a new thought. Every single time. Every single time we take up a spiritual practice. Every single time we set powerful intentions in our lives. We meditate, we affirm, we vision. Every single time we do that, we are saying to ourselves, I desire the release of the old. The release of things that no longer serve me. I desire to embrace a greater good that I know is true for myself. It's in there, and I know it, and I recognize it, and I must release the old in order to align myself with the greater life that Spirit has in mind for me. So we walk in confidence in the direction of our dreams. We've prayed, we've meditated, we've done all the work, and we walk in confidence of this larger idea of who we are. And then what happens? Right? Sometimes we falter. Sometimes we have questions. Sometimes we get doubts. Doubts will creep in. Sometimes that critical voice will happen. Are we big enough? Are we smart enough? Are we brave enough? Are we strong enough to whatever, fill in the blank, to do what Spirit is calling us to do, to be what Spirit is calling us to be? And we have our own personal garden moment, right? We have the Garden of Gethsemane moment in our own lives where we pray, where we wonder, where we doubt, where we fear. Now, Ernest Holmes, in How to Use the Science of Mind, he said this: every person must go to the garden of his own soul, and lifting up his consciousness to the divine nature, find himself resurrected into a new life and a new light. In actual practice, we do this every time we do an affirmative prayer. Every time we do an affirmative prayer. We're embracing God's idea of us. We are embracing that greater thought of our lives. And we can try to allow the cup to pass us by, right? How many times have we done that? Oh, no, I can't. I'm not big enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not educated enough. I don't have the right degree. I don't have the right address, whatever. And we can procrastinate, and often do. And we can try to avoid, and we can run away. But you know what I have found is that Spirit will have its way with us. Just does. Spirit will have its way with us. And it will continue to unfold, and we continue to walk forward. Even if we're doing little teeny tiny baby penguin steps, we're continuing to move forward. We are here. We have taken physical form. We're allowing Spirit to express through us, right? We're a soul. We're not a body. We're a soul. We have a body, right? So we are 100% the activity of Spirit. That's all we are. We're the activity of Spirit right here on earth. So we have taken form specifically as a journey of awakening. As a journey of awakening to the truth of who we are. And so at some point, we do accept our divine inheritance. At some point, we will accept our divine inheritance. And so we continue to embrace new thoughts for the future. This practice is not about becoming anything, but it's about revealing something. This practice of ours, new thought philosophy, is about revealing the inner, revealing the truth of who we are. We stop hiding, we stop playing small, and we stand in the truth of our own power. We stand in the knowledge that we are Spirit expressing. That's it. That's what we are. We are Spirit expressing. So all the qualities of God are simply flowing through us into form. And Ernest Holmes said this. He said, we believe the Christ comes to all, each alike. There is no one particular man, no one particular human predestined to become the Christ. We must understand that the Christ is not a person, but a principle. It is the principle. It's the principle of life, and it is that principle that we surrender to. It is the principle that we allow that highest and best version of ourselves to lead us and to be us. And then what happens? Well, lots of things happen. Life happens all along the way as we're busy making other plans. So we're betrayed because that happens. That's part of our story too. And we forgive because we have awakened. So we forgive totally. We forgive completely. We surrender to the idea of allowing unconditional love to flow through us. And we experience sacred wounds, don't we? Each in our own way, in our own level. We experience that sacred wound. This is our story. And we go into the dark night of the soul. We have our own personal tomb experience. And if you're lucky enough to have people around you who support you, or people like spiritual counselors who will pray with you, you have those people that are called tomb watchers, right? And they stand guard. What a lovely concept that is. The people who will know the truth for you while you are in that death, in that dark night. And we all have it. And in that darkness and in that night, we die to the old. We do die to the old. We can no longer live the way we have lived. Good enough is not good enough anymore. And we must die to the old. We must move forward. There is something within us calling us to a greater expression. We must evolve. There's a new life for us. There is a new expression. There's a new version for us. It's you 2.0. It's a greater expression of who you are. Because that is what Spirit intends us to be, the greater version of self, the most self-actualized we can be. And the only way we can do it is if we release what no longer serves and embrace the new, even though it's scary and even though it's unknown and even if we don't know what it is. We awaken to that newness and we step into it. We accept it joyfully and graciously with a song on our hearts. We are meant to live fully and to live freely and to live happily and totally expressed as unique individuals. You're here to give the gifts and to be the gift that you are, and nobody else can take your place in it. That's why there's 7.5 billion of us, no two alike. No two alike, because you are here, you have taken form to do life uniquely as only you can do it. And we need you to do that. The rest of humanity needs you to be your authentic self, because nobody else can take your place in it. And Ernest Holmes said this. He said, religious science does not deny the divinity of Jesus, but it does affirm the divinity of all people. It does not deny Jesus was born the Son of God, but it says and it affirms all humans are the sons and daughters of God. It does not deny the kingdom of God was revealed through Jesus, but it says the kingdom of God is also revealed through you. This is who we are. This is the truth of who we are. And if you read John, it says, I say unto you, he that believeth in me, the works that I do also he shall do. And greater works than these he shall do, because I go to my Father. So even Jesus was saying, oh, you got the hang of this. You can do this. It's affirming. It's standing in your power. It's declaring what is so in our lives. And it'll outpicture. And wow, that is a great mantle to take on, isn't it? And sometimes we get, that can't be me. They can't be talking about me. Oh my God, I can't do that. But we know it's the truth, don't we? We know it's the truth and we resonate with it. And we intuitively know it, and that we have communed with that still small voice within us. We feel that seed of perfection that is nestled within us that Emerson calls. We know that there is the spiritual spark of us is the truth of us, and all the circumstances and all the conditions and all the failures and all the disappointments and all the setbacks, they're meaningless. Because all that is conditions. And what do we know about conditions? They change all the time. Moment to moment, things at the physical level are changing all the time. The truth of us, the eternal truth of us, is that seed of perfection that is within us. And when we begin to live from there, we are living in our power. We are living in our authenticity. We know that we are spirit in form. And just when we get it, yeah, you know what happens. Just when we get it, just when we start living from that power and demonstrating from that power and manifesting the crap out of everything, well, you know what I mean. What happens? What happens? That critical voice shows up. That critical voice in the little back of your head that goes, so, You ever brought someone back from the dead before? But wait a minute. I'm living a new life, you say. I'm standing in my power, you say. I am called to live passionately and compassionately in the world, you say. I am here to forgive, to defy death, to do all things that are life affirming. I am here to fight death and needless suffering. So what is our response? What is our response when that critical voice goes, yeah? Well, when was the last time you raised someone from the dead? Your response is yes. Yeah, you bet I have. Every time we bring hope into a hopeless situation, we bring people back from the dead. Every time we bring joy into a life shattered by despair, we bring people back from the dead. Every time we forgive others, and we forgive ourselves, that's a big part of it, and we bring dignity back to a life that maybe has too little of it, we are calling people back from the dead. Every time we listen to others, really listen, and be a support, and be unconditional love, every single time we are bringing people back from the dead. Every time we speak truth in public, every time we confront injustice, wherever it is, we bring people back from the dead. Every time we stand in the truth of our convictions, regardless of the conditions around us, we are bringing people back from the dead. This is our new life. This is what we have signed on for. This is what we said yes to when we started down this pathway called spiritual unfoldment. When we said yes to new thought, new life comes with it. New life comes with it. And resurrection comes after death. And new life comes after resurrection. And that life is our life, right here and right now. Ernest Holmes said this in A New Design for Living. He said, have joy in designing your new life. Always try to keep even the most profound things on a lighter side. I love that. Ernest Holmes, this is just an aside. Ernest Holmes used to say, I don't take myself seriously, but I take this teaching very seriously. So I like that. Keep it on the lighter side. Don't think everything has to be learned in a minute, in this minute. Don't become discouraged if all things are not accomplished in a day. Keep a good-natured flexibility, a happiness, and a spontaneous enthusiasm to what you're doing. Once you undertake this new project, it will not be long before you can point to yourself and your experience and say with pride and satisfaction, this is my life and it is good. There, doesn't that feel good? Say it. Say, this is my life and it is good. Absolutely. Say it again. This is my life and it is good. That's the new life. That's our life, right here and right now. We've awakened, we've examined our thoughts, we've transformed them, we've exchanged them for thoughts that no longer serve us. We have taken on the mantle of spirit and form. We are brave enough, we are strong enough, we are the people. This is the time. This is the time to stand in our truth and stand in our power and know for ourselves and everyone around us the truth. So on this Easter, I invite you to embrace your new life. Set your powerful intentions. Set them now. Set them today. Don't procrastinate anymore. You are your own answer. Sit in your garden experience. Sit in your garden experience. Have your doubts. Have your fears. Lean into them. Because you lean into them, you press through them. You don't run away from them. You press through them. Have that garden experience. Allow that critical voice to raise up. Allow the fears and the doubts to come and lean into them and invite them along for the ride, because that is integrating your whole self, your positive and your shadow nature. Commit to your own greater good. Commit to your own greater good. Not someone else's idea of what you should do or what you should be or where you should go, but your own greater good, and stand in the truth and the power of that. And you know, some people are going to be happy and some people are going to be disappointed and some people are going to be pissed off at you. Too bad. They don't have to live your life, you do. Commit to your own greater good. die to the old. You know that stuff you've been hanging on to? You know that stuff you've been hanging on to. I know you know it, because you know what? When you walk in your garage, you see it. Or when you open your purse, you see it. Or when you look in the back seat of your car, you see it. All those things you've been hanging on to that no longer serve you, those things around in your life, they're just a symbol of the internal hanging on to things that no longer serve you. They're just a reminder at the physical level. There's shit all around. Oh, I'm so sorry. There's stuff all around you that you need to get rid of. You need to get rid of it, because it is a reflection of that inner, hanging on to stuff that no longer serves. So die to the old. Do the spiritual house cleaning, do the physical house cleaning, and leave space for the new you to come forward into manifestation. Embrace your greater yet to be, regardless of whether or not you know what that is. You leave space, you are willing. That little willingness is all that you need. That little tiny willingness. Embrace that. Embrace that greater yet to be. And start living your new life now. Start living your new life now. Because it is now. And now, and now, and now, and every moment is your new now, is your new life calling you. Practice resurrection. That's what the story is calling us to do. Practice resurrection. Wake up every morning and embrace your new life. Because that's what it is. It is your new life. And that's what the Easter story is telling us. It's telling us to embrace our own new life, to transform, to awaken, to cast off the old, to be reborn in every moment. The Easter story is our story. Practice it. Thank you.